It's the Ross Tucker Football Podcast.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is our final Finish Strong Friday of the 2022 NFL season. It's also our final Picks Friday. And it's all presented, of course, by DraftKings. Most of you know this, but I know we get new listeners or maybe new viewers on youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL every year. The show goes on. Football season never stops. Really, the only difference between the off season and the regular season for the Ross Tucker Football Podcast is it's 3 episodes a week in the off season as opposed to 5. Typically, we will record those first thing Monday morning, Wednesday, and Thursday. Although based on what's going on and different schedules, the second one sometimes might be Tuesday, or the third one sometimes might be Friday, but usually it'll be Thursday because it'll still be Greg Cosell. Because like next week, we'll break down the Super Bowl with Greg. And then after that, we'll dive into Greg's patented draft series, which is awesome. The college draft, still weekly with Emery Hunt, who is fantastic and is a great podcast for you guys to listen to. We'll start to do his positional breakdowns to get you ready for the draft. The Fantasy Feast podcast never goes away. I love recapping the year because it's important to actually talk about what these guys did. And then we'll start to look at some of the draft prospects, and then we'll get into best ball and all that stuff, which is awesome. The Even Money podcast never ends. So the other shows, the show goes on, still plenty of awesome content for you guys. So really, even if you're like, oh man, the Ross Tucker Football Podcast isn't every day anymore, well then on those days, Tuesday or Friday, listen to the College Draft or listen to Even Money or Fantasy Feast podcast. You can still get your boy and you can still be a winner.
I want winners. I want people that want to win.
Absolutely, Mike Singletary. Is that like the only relevance Mike Singletary still has? I mean, I know he's in the Hall of Fame, but I don't even know what he's doing right now, but he's still on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast on Fridays. The Spread the Word winner, which this week was rating and reviewing the show on Spotify, Harley McCall, Harley McCall. It's interesting. It just occurred to me. I don't know if Harley is male or female. That's kind of a name that could go either way. That's awesome. That's a cool name, actually. Harley McCall. Now I'm wondering if the parent really loved motorcycles and Harleys. It's an awesome name. Harley McCall. Very cool, Harley. You're the Spread the Word winner. I got so many press passes now, it's not even funny. You could even get my Super Bowl press pass from the whole week out there, Radio Row. I got a veritable smorgasbord. Next week, I'll go over all of the press passes I still have so you guys can see which one it is that you want to get. In fact, you know what? Let me just look at them right now. I got a bunch right here while I'm looking at them. Ooh, I've got my Eagles pass from the NFC Championship game. That's pretty awesome. I've got my Eagles pass from the divisional round game. Also pretty awesome. My playoff game from Bengals Bills, which is sweet. How about my Eagles season pass? That's actually probably worth something if they win the Super Bowl. Chiefs Raiders, Steelers Raiders, Rams against the Packers, Akron, Eastern Michigan, UNLV, San Diego State, Texans, Eagles. How about my Dolphins, Bills one from the playoffs? FAU, Western Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Dolphins training camp from when I was there, Eagles, Browns preseason, some UConn, some Buffalo, some Nevada. I've got that Rams-Cardinals playoff game last year. Rams ended up winning the Super Bowl. That's cool. I've got the Bucks against the Rams last year in the playoffs. Very, very cool. I got a bunch of awesome ones for you guys. So let's win. How about it? Why don't you guys go ahead and win some of these contests so I can send it directly to you? Just win a contest. I'll send it to you, ross@rosstucker.com. The sponsor confirmation email winner is Tim in Glasgow. So I don't know. I know it's Glasgow, Scotland. I don't know if that's where he's from or if it's like a Glasgow in Kansas or something, or Ohio. But that was like his tag in the email. He took advantage of the Raycon earbuds. And I feel like I'm not pronouncing that right. So my bad to all the Glasgonians out there. YouTube shout out, Namu Wookie. Now that's a cool name too. NAMUWOOKI. Subscribe to youtube.com/RossTuckerNFL and said, I'm down for the shout out. Well, Namawuki, you're getting it. Let me know who you want the video to be to. Ross@RossTucker.com. Cool show today, by the way. I've been telling you guys about it. I want to get the real, true lowdown on the Super Bowl injuries. So we've got Dr. David Chao at Pro Football Doc, SportsInjuryCentral.com. And then I caught up with Andrew Wylie for a few minutes at opening night at the Super Bowl. His matchup against Hassan Reddick on Sunday might be the most important matchup in the game. So both shorter interviews than normal. So we'll get to those momentarily after I tell you that the Super Bowl is the perfect time to have a Labatt Blue Light in your hand. Why not enjoy Super Sunday with the pristine Canadian goodness of a cold Labatt Blue Light? I'll be doing that. Stock up, be the MVP of your tailgate or your Super Bowl party. Share a Labatt on game day with your crew. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
All right, Dr. Chao, let's talk Super Bowl. And we'll start with Patrick Mahomes. Were you surprised at how effective he was able to be against the Bengals? Watching him at the end of the Jacksonville game, I was surprised that he looked as good as he did against the Bengals. You could still see it was bothering him. How much better do you think he'll even be now that he had 2 weeks before this game?
We were not surprised at all at Patrick Mahomes' performance. As a matter of fact, we feel at Sports Injury Central vindicated. We gave him a 6 score of 84 for that game, 84 out of 100, meaning he was 84% effective. Now, he probably was only 70% healthy. So this is the difference. We don't.
So the 6 score is how effective you think they'll be?
Yeah, and in a rough way, it's like if you expect 30 DFS points, maybe you get 84% of that. And in the end, well, he was 326 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, quarterback rating 105.4. That's probably 84% for Patrick Mahomes. 100 is like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns and whatever. But in any case, the reason why is we factor things in. We're not robots. And this is why the line flipped from Chiefs to Bengals. Oh my gosh, it's a high ankle. Because of who the player is. Look, when you're Mac Jones, no offense to Mac Jones, and you have a high ankle sprain and you're 70% healthy, you sit for a few weeks and Bailey Zappi gets the start. When you're Patrick Mahomes and you're 70% healthy, no offense to Chad Henne, you get the start, Patrick Mahomes. Now, why did we put him at 84? We knew he wasn't going to run, and we were saying under rush props, made it 8 yards, 4 yards on that last scramble, and under longest pass completion because he can't drive the ball downfield off his back foot. And we also knew scrambling to his left was going to be a problem. You saw him limping. Scrambling to his right based on his ankle was a little bit better. That was the last run. And we had him at 84. Now, we're not surprised at all. Why? Because of how he plays. This guy wrong foot throws all the time when he's healthy.
Oh, that's a good point.
He changes arm angles.
He works on off-platform throws.
Yes, that's his norm. This is I was talking to Jim Everett earlier yesterday about it, and he goes, yeah, those are every throw that coaches would say, you can't do that, you can't do that. But Mahomes does it effectively. But for shorter throws. But you can't do that for deeper throws where you have to drive the ball. That's how he said longest pass completion under.
How much better do you think he'll be in the Super Bowl?
50% better than he was, but
so
not 100%.
what will his 6 score be?
91.
He's at 91.
Yeah.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's not at 96.
What is Hurts' 6 score? Because when you've watched him in the 2 playoff games, he hasn't played great. And people are debating, is it he's just not playing as well, or is the shoulder bothering him? He's been very outspoken that the shoulder is bothering him. What's his score, and what do you see from Hurts?
Hurts' shoulder is healthier than Mahomes' ankle. His 6 score is 93.
Okay.
There's no doubt he still has pain. He's not lying. I mean, come on, everyone does, right? But here's the thing. What did Patrick Mahomes say leading up to the Bengals game? I'm fine. What did the Chiefs do? They listed him as full practice because they wanted nothing to see here. Don't be blitzing. Don't dive at the ankle. We're good. Why would Jalen Hurts and the Eagles be talking about his shoulder if it was vulnerable? They wouldn't be. They're just saying, yeah, the reality is it still hurts, but they're not that worried about it, or they'd be quiet about the injury. Come on, why would you say that? Now, I'm much more worried about, and I'm not anti-Jalen Hurts at all, I'm much more worried about rust than the actual shoulder. Let's look at it. The Eagles clearly were trying to rest him because they had the lead, right? And that worked out. They still had the home field advantage. Let's talk about the 49er game. The first 11 plays, he threw the ball 8 times, and they were moving the ball. Then Brock Purdy was hurt, and then the game script changed some. So is it surprising that Jalen Hurts didn't run the ball at all in the second half? No. Is it surprising he didn't run the ball much in that game? Not because of his shoulder. It was more of a mush rush. Fred Warner, stay at home, keep you in your, the rush lanes, etc. And then we can talk about that related to Lane Johnson next. And that's why his numbers weren't that good. In the second, he didn't need good numbers in that to win that game. To some extent, same with the Giants. So some of it is game script, and we're prisoners of the stats of the moment. But you watch film a lot, I know that. If you really look, you won't see anything wrong with his shoulder.
Well, I didn't notice anything, but I didn't know if maybe you did.
No, I don't.
Okay, last question. The receivers for the Chiefs, Kadarius Toney, Juju Smith-Schuster. We're recording this on Wednesday morning. They've practiced the last 2 days. This is airing on Friday's show, the Super Bowl preview. What do you know about their injuries, and what will their 6 scores be for the big game?
We are optimistic that Kadarius Toney will be fine.
What was his injury?
We didn't see it on the game film, but coach's film, it's a left ankle inversion ankle sprain.
Okay.
Standard basketball type.
Yep.
We actually like the matchup of Toney against Avonte Maddox with the turf toe, which we don't think Avonte Maddox is that healthy. Fans have said, well, he did well last game. Who threw the ball in the second half of the game? Nobody for the 49ers. So, yeah, he did well, but was he tested is the question. So we have got good confidence, and he will be in the low 90s as we finalize the practice reports. Juju's a little more of a mystery because it happened in practice. We're expecting it to be more of a patella tendonitis thing that he can play through, and we'll probably have him at 90, but we'll see as the reports come out. And obviously, Mecole Hardman's been ruled out. Clyde Edwards-Helaire activated as now a backup to Pacheco. But before we go, because you're an offensive lineman, I got to ask you and run my thoughts about Lane Johnson by you. I think the key to the Super Bowl is Lane Johnson. That's the position that I'm going to watch. Why? He did fine against Nick Bosa by the numbers. His PFF grades are 5 or 10 points lower than the regular season. But what did he do to get through? Social media saying, he's offsides, he's offsides. That wasn't by accident.
Oh, no.
That was by design.
Well, he tries to do it all the time, though.
Yeah, but
he tries to jump the count all the time.
Yes, and it's legal. What he does, it's fine. But and then look at where his pass set was. A yard deeper than normal to help because of Nick Bosa and because of his groin adductor. And there were a couple of times that he got bull rushed a step or two back. But then watch the film. Nick Bosa then sits back after that. He doesn't finish.
Well, because they didn't want Hurts to be able to escape.
So that let Lane Johnson off the hook. So if the to me, here's the chess match, and I'm not trying to be a coach, but I want to hear your opinion. I mean, if they put Chris Jones on him and bull rush Lane Johnson,
well,
I don't think he has a chance.
The Giants put Dexter Lawrence on him for a couple reps in that game, who's 350 pounds, to try to test him, and he got knocked back. It was hard for Lane to sustain against that. You got to check him out on social media at ProFootballDoc. He is the best in the business. If you don't go to SixScore.com to make sure you know the health injury information for any player in any football game, you're doing it wrong. Thank you so much for coming on the show, as always.
Pleasure.
Love the discussions with Dr. Chao. Love just feeling like the Avonte Maddox, Kadarius Toney thing was probably as interesting to me as any other. I just feel like you're unlocking knowledge and information that other people don't have when you talk to a guy like Dr. Chao. Just like with ExpressVPN, you can unlock movies and shows that are only available in other countries. So you guys know I'm a big believer in ExpressVPN because of how much I travel. All the public Wi-Fis in hotels and airports and on planes, ExpressVPN is what protects me. And it works on all of my devices, phones, media consoles, smart TVs, and more. They also allow you now to watch, like my wife, she's been watching The Office because she loves The Office on UK Netflix because ExpressVPN lets you control your IP address. And so you can pick different countries and watch different shows. So if you want to get access to hundreds of new shows, go to expressvpn.com/Tucker right now, and you can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. That's expressvpn.com/Tucker. expressvpn.com/Tucker to learn more. Speaking of more, I promise more. I'll give you more. It's Chiefs right tackle Andrew Wylie talking with me Monday night at opening night. And I'm talking with Chiefs starting right tackle Andrew Wylie. And I want to go back to, I've done some Eastern Michigan games.
Oh, yeah.
So the factory,
Yeah.
were you there when they were using like the sledgehammer to like hit the brick wall coming out?
You can see me in that video. Yeah, I'm not breaking down the wall, but I'm right behind them. So, yeah, I love that video.
Okay, so where'd you grow up?
In Michigan, Saginaw, Midland area. That's where the family farm is. So.
And then what kind of farm?
We actually grow Christmas trees.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
You know what? We just switched from like going out and cutting down our own tree. My wife got sick of it, and so we just switched to artificial.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry, dude.
Day. It's a sad day. I feel for you. Man.
How is the family Christmas tree business?
Good, man. It's really fun. It's it's something we do from Thanksgiving to Christmas, just 1 month. But a lot goes into it. We have a lot of fun doing it, and just using the land to our advantage. My dad owns and runs his landscaping company out of our farm too. So
that's awesome.
A whole lot of stuff going on all the time, but it's fun. I truly enjoy Christmas tree season.
Where else did you almost go out of high school?
Believe it or not, Eastern Michigan was my only offer out of high school, and so I stuck with them. I had a great career there, met a lot of great people, and I have no regrets, man. Eastern. I got sick in high school. I lost a lot of offers, and Eastern was.
What do you mean sick?
I had a thyroid disorder in high school. Yeah, I lost a bunch of weight, and so every other team that was interested in me kind of stopped talking to me. And Eastern Michigan, they stayed there. They said, hey, hell, this guy will play tight end if we want him to. So, but they stuck it out. So I got so much love for Eastern.
And then I forget, were you drafted? Have you been with other teams, Andrew?
Undrafted. My rookie year, I was on 4 different practice squads until I ended up here on the Chiefs my rookie season, last week of the season. It's Patrick Mahomes' first game versus Broncos at home. So that was my first week on the team, and been there ever since.
So was it a bigger deal that it was your first game or Mahomes' first game?
Definitely Pat's. Definitely Pat's.
Talk to me about the Eagles' edge rushers a little bit and just what you see from those guys and who you expect to see the most.
Yeah, expect to see Reddick number 7 the most. His backup 55 Graham, and they got a lot of capable rushers on that D line. Those guys definitely mean business, and they've had a lot of production this season. So I believe we got a great game plan to stop those guys' rush and to get the ball running a little bit. But can't express to those guys enough, man. They got some real capable rushers on the outside.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much. Good luck.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
It's interesting interviews like that because there's obviously people talking in the background or whatever. So it's not quite the studio quality audio that we usually like to have, but sometimes you got to take the opportunities when you can get them. I actually got a bunch of interviews that night I thought were really cool that we'll get into in the off season when I go on a vacation with my family or whatever, when I want to use them from time to time. Speaking of studio, it's not easy these days to take the time to drive to some studio for classes. Plus, you don't even need to do that anymore. I mean, there's a reason why Peloton is so successful. They have all kinds of different classes, yoga, strength training, boxing, interval training, all kinds of different durations, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. And it's all on demand. It's all available 24/7. Their music is awesome. Their instructors are awesome. You don't have to be in crazy shape to start Peloton. It's actually probably the best way to start working out because you can start with very short time duration classes or workouts. Try Peloton risk-free with a 30-day home trial. New members only, not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.
Tux Takes.
All right, Ross, the NFL Honors Awards was last night. Let's get your thoughts on the winners. We'll start with Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jets cornerback Sauce Gardner.
Had no problem with that. I thought Aiden Hutchinson and Tariq Woolen had really good years as well, but I think Sauce was probably the most deserving.
The Offensive Rookie of the Year stays in New York with Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson.
That, by the way, is really cool and really bodes well for the Jets moving forward to have both the Defensive Rookie of the Year and the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Take a bow, Joe Douglas, the GM for the Jets. That is fantastic. So I would say I thought it was interesting that Kenneth Walker actually got more first place votes, which means in the past, he would have been the winner. But now you vote for up to 5 people and, there's a point system. And that's how Garrett Wilson won. I don't think either one of those guys, Kenneth Walker, missed some time. I don't think either one of those guys really separate themselves from the other. So I guess I'm fine with either guy.
Defensive Player of the Year was 49ers edge rusher Nick Bosa.
So Bosa had a really good year. And Bosa led the NFL in sacks by 2.5 sacks. So I'm fine with it. I'm not sure I thought he was the best defensive player in the league this year. Chris Jones from the Chiefs was incredible. Hassan Reddick had a ridiculous year, especially when you think about how often he rushes compared to Bosa and the amount of strip sacks that Reddick got. Jones really carried the Chiefs defense, and even Micah Parsons had an incredible year, but at times he's dropping. I mean, at times he's an off-the-ball linebacker. So it's hard for him to put up the same numbers as some of these other guys. So I'm okay with Bosa winning it, but I'm personally not sure he was the best defensive player.
Offensive Player of the Year goes to Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I guess I don't really understand. There's 2 awards I don't really understand. Offensive Player of the Year and Comeback Player of the Year. We'll get to Comeback Player of the Year in a little bit, but Offensive Player of the Year. So if Mahomes is the runaway MVP, how is he not the Offensive Player of the Year? I guess we maybe should change the wording of that, most statistically impressive offensive performance. I don't know. It's kind of become the person other than the quarterback that had the best year. I don't know. I don't mean Justin Jefferson wasn't even like in the top 5 for MVP voting, I don't think. But yet he's the offensive player of the year. So how is he ahead of Hurts or Josh Allen? I'm a little confused on that one.
Yeah, it seems like a skill player of the year award might be more fitting for that title, but we'll move to the aforementioned comeback player of the year, which was Seattle Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith.
Yeah, I mean, Geno had an awesome year, and I feel like he deserves an award. I guess the question is, like, what does that award even mean? And what is he actually coming back from? That's the thing I don't quite understand in that instance, is exactly what smoothie delivery, by the way. If you guys are hearing some bouncing, I get my smoothie delivery. Let me get a sip of it right now. So good. Have a great day, Helen. So like, I guess I don't really understand, Jack, what Geno Smith's coming back from. Coming back from being second year, second string, coming back to relevance. I don't know. I mean, the other guys like Saquon and McCaffrey were both coming back from significant injuries, right? Feels like we need 2 different awards. We need like a comeback player who came back from something hard. And then, by the way, just telling you right now, DeMar Hamlin will win comeback player of the year next year. Can I vote? Can I bet on that somewhere? He is winning that award next year.
I feel like it might already be
He comes back and
locked.
plays next year. DeMar Hamlin's winning that award. I want to bet on that right now at DraftKings. But they need like a most improved award and a comeback player of the year award. That's my thought.
AP coach of the year was Giants head coach Brian Daboll.
Yeah, I agree. I think he deserved it. I mean, nobody thought the Giants would be that good, number one. Number two, they're still not even that talented. I mean, I'm watching them play the Eagles, and there's like 3 or 4 guys for the Giants that would even start for the Eagles. I mean, think about that. And they made the playoffs and won a playoff game.
The MVP is Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes.
No question in my mind. No question. You lose Tyreek Hill, you trade Tyreek Hill, and then you're the number 1 seed. You have the best record. You lead the NFL in yards, touchdowns. Yes. He's not only the most valuable player in the NFL, he's the best player in the NFL.
Tuck's Takes.
Also announced yesterday was the Pro Football Hall of Fame class for 2023, and it includes Rondé Barber, Darrelle Revis, Joe Thomas, Zach Thomas, DeMarcus Ware, Don Coryell, Chuck Howley, Joe Klecko, and Ken Riley.
So I'm really, really happy for Joe Klecko because he's an awesome guy, and I think he really deserves it. He was all pro at 3 different positions: nose tackle, D tackle, D end. That is really hard to do and very impressive for Joe Klecko. Of the other guys, Rondé Barber had a heck of a career. I mean, Revis was like the best corner in the NFL and one of the best like 5 players in the NFL for a good stretch of like 7 or 8 years. So he's deserving. Joe Thomas, absolutely, never missing a snap on all those terrible Browns teams and being the best O-lineman in the league for a long time, for sure. It's funny. Last year, I was really passionate, Jack, about Richard Seymour and Tony Baselli, and they both got in. This year, the guy that I felt the strongest about was Zach Thomas. I played against Zach Thomas a bunch. You know, I started 03, 04. I started at least 3 games against the Dolphins. So played against Zach a bunch. And he was really, really good. I mean, awesome tackler, so smart, so instinctive. Really, really happy for him.
Tuck's Takes.
For the last time until September, Ross, who's your prediction for the Super Bowl? Our last pick's Friday.
Well, first of all, it's sad that this is the last pick I'm making until September. Secondly, This is presented by Labatt Blue Light, the pristine Canadian Pilsner. Share a Labatt with friends this football season. Here's how I look at it. I do think it's going to be a close game. And in a close game, I would typically favor Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, because we've all seen Mahomes make the critical play late in an important game to win over and over. I mean, I feel like at least 20 times in a huge game, the last drive, Mahomes makes the play for the Chiefs to win. Hurts really hasn't done that. I mean, not that he can't do it, but we really haven't seen Jalen Hurts do that. I mean, I think he did a drive against the Colts to win the game in the regular season. That's pretty much the only time we've seen that. That said, Hurts has played in a lot of big games, college football national championships. I was on the sideline when he came off the bench in the SEC championship game against Georgia. So Hurts has been in a lot of big moments. But in a close game, I think it would favor Mahomes and the Chiefs. I just can't do it. I can't do it. If you look at it, an MVP has not won the Super Bowl since 1999. And typically in these matchups, the better team, aka the best team, beats the team with the best player. Patrick Mahomes is the best player. The Philadelphia Eagles are the best team. They've been the best team all year. They have the best roster. They have one of the best rosters I've ever seen. It's unbelievable how good they are. I think the Eagles' depth is the difference. I think they wear down the Chiefs, especially their second-string D-line in the second half. I think the Eagles win their second Super Bowl in 5 years with a new head coach and a new quarterback, which is crazy impressive for the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, and the general manager, Howie Roseman. 27-24 Eagles. That'll do it, by the way, for a Finish Strong Friday edition of the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Before I forget, by the way, I have an awesome idea for you guys. I know a lot of you still haven't gotten Valentine's Day gifts. Buy your loved one a story at myfrontpagestory.com. Use the code RTFP10. You'll get 10% off. But here's what I want to tell you. You won't get the story in time for Valentine's Day. They can't turn it around that fast. But you print out the order form, like you print out that you did it. You put that in an envelope. You give it to your loved one, and they open it, and you're like, I'm having a story written about you, and it'll be here in a week or so. Think about that. Think about how cool that sounds to the person that gets the story, and then think about the anticipation in their mind, waiting every day to see what this person writes about them. There's a story written about me. I can't wait to read this thing. Anyway, I think it might even be better than giving it to them on Valentine's Day. myfrontpagestory.com, code RTFP10. Shout outs to Pizza Boy Brewing, Sporticulture, HumanHeadNYC.com, SteakhouseSports.com, Go-Bengals.com, Evergreen Economics, and BackOfficeScheduler.com. Bright and early Monday morning, we're breaking down the Super Bowl, and we'll have the College Draft Podcast as well, which will include some scouting lessons from the Super Bowl. I think we're done here.
Thanks for listening to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Fantasy Feast, Even Money, Business of Sports, and College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.